BS-Free Witchcraft is a production of the Nerd and Tie Podcast Network. Nerd and Tie produces podcasts ranging from actual play to true crime, and you can find more at nerdandtie.com or join our Discord by going to nerdandtie.com/Discord.
I banish thee from Salem forever.
They were right to fear thee. Magic has a way of uniting. Happy 16th birthday, child.
I have a gift for my favorite customers. Legend has it, it's on the 16th birthday that a witch gets her powers.
Lock up your children! Yes, Salem, we're back!
Gilbert, where did you get that candle? We have to get out of here. The witches will be here any second. Ah! The book is alive.
He woke up?
If we intend to live past sunrise, we have to steal their souls.
Whoa, wait, can we talk about this?
No. We must fly! We run amok!
Not to freak out. The vengeful maniac obsessed with getting revenge on Salem. Sounds very bad for Salem.
We should get some salt. Why? So we taste better when they eat us? Spread out.
That's not 6 feet under.
Stop! I am a good zombie.
I'm your host, Trae Dorn, and this month we're continuing what we did last month. In November, we talked about Hocus Pocus, the classic Halloween film in November. This month, we are talking about its sequel, Hocus Pocus 2, that came out in 2022. And joining me again will be Bree NicGarran, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. I did want to mention a couple of things here real quick. First off, as we have launched a new set of forums at nerdandtie.social. If you want to talk to me, if you want to talk about stuff, go to nerdandtie.social. It's free. It's great. The website is incredibly mobile friendly. So if you're still just using a smartphone for everything, still check it out. It's really simple to use, really simple to set up an account, and I don't know. I think I in my day-to-day life, please remember that I'm a massive nerd, and I rail against the centralized internet, and I figured, what the heck, let's do something about that and make a community space that is just ours. So that's what we're doing there. Also, I always plug it at the end of the show, but I do want to remind people that I do have a Patreon at patreon.com/TRAEGORN. If you want to support this show and get episodes like this a whole week early, if you go to my Patreon, you can do that. I think that's enough intro here and enough plugging of stuff. I'm sure you want to get into the actual thing where I talk to Bree about Hocus Pocus 2. So here's Bree NicGarran. Hey, Bree.
Hi, Trae.
We're talking. It's been so long since I talked to you last. It's been a whole month. A whole month has gone by since. No one pay attention to us being in the same clothes.
Seems like no time's passed at all.
we are talking about Hocus Pocus 2.
Yes.
Which came out a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about doing an episode about this a year ago, and then I didn't. And so we're doing it now. Because, so Hocus Pocus 2 came out in 2022, and it did it come out in theaters or just on Disney Plus? I think it was just on Disney Plus.
I think it was just on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Which is fine because I don't go out to theaters anymore. Because the world is a nightmare. And it brings back we bring back Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, and Doug Jones.
Yes.
But obviously the kids have grown up and we don't care about them. Because can you think of when people fondly remember Hocus Pocus, they don't fondly remember the kids.
Not so much.
They fondly remember the child murderers. Because again, I just want to remind you that, and this is really important for this film, I feel like emotionally sometimes this film forgets it. These are repeated child murderers.
Yep.
Keep that in your heart and mind as you watch this movie. There will be so I didn't warning about spoilers with the first one because that movie came out in 1993. This movie came out a year ago. Not everybody has Disney Plus. This episode will be so full of spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
I will say, if you're watching a Hocus Pocus movie for the plot, I think you've picked the wrong franchise because watching these movies is about the vibes and Bette Midler vamping. So and Sarah Jessica Parker doing weird physical comedy, and Kathy Najimy just being goofy,
barking.
In a very funny way.
Yes.
You mentioned in the previous episode her being, from the Three Stooges, but I think like there's a lot modeled on the Three Stooges with the three of these characters to begin with. They are heavily inspired. But so this movie comes out, decades later. It comes out, 29 years later.
Which is an odd interval, but okay.
Because money. Because we live in a nightmare IP situation where everything's getting rebooted and refreshed, and I guess at least they were smart enough to know that remaking Hocus Pocus was not going to be worth it. Just do a sequel, because you're not going to replicate Bette Midler. Although in the opening scene, the young actress does a pretty good job.
They
in the flashback
notes.
Yeah.
Those actresses were amazing. Snaps for them.
I'm going to actually...
The set. I just wanted to make a quick note about the set because they do the same opening, like flying over water. I loved that. And it's either the same Salem town set or an extremely similar one to the first movie. I would love to know if that was purpose built or if that is like some sort of
for the historical version of the village,
because it's really, really good. Like it's not perfect, obviously, but it's pretty period accurate to how like the houses would have looked, how things would vaguely have been set up. There would have been more to it, obviously.
I wonder if the externals in the first one were actually in the first movie, we didn't mention this in the earlier episode. The first movie, the exteriors were shot in Massachusetts. Like the internal stuff was on a set and the graveyard was a set. But whenever you see them around town in the first movie, they're either in Salem or they're in a nearby town in Massachusetts. So they did do a lot of on location shooting actually, and it wasn't often you'll see in low budget stuff like or even in high budget stuff, California, Vancouver doubling for various
everywhere.
parts. And I don't know if they in the first movie, they did shoot a lot of that actually in Salem. And Hocus Pocus 2, looking it up, they built a lot of those sets actually in Rhode Island.
Okay.
And they did they did some production in Salem, but they also did production in Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay. Yeah. All right, that tracks. Tracks. And there's some historic sites out in Providence, so yeah, I could see that happening. Fair enough. I was just impressed with it. I was like, oh, this is somebody actually did their homework and didn't just go random old looking log cabins. It's like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so I'm assuming I don't know if those exteriors are a real thing in or if they were purpose built for the movie, because like I know that's like we kind of interspersed our commentary with the plot. I'm actually going to try to rush through the plot of this movie and then we'll talk about it.
Gotcha.
Because I feel like some of the discussions that might come out of that are more interesting than the movie itself. So we open up with a flashback to 1653, where we meet the young Sanderson sisters, who are played by the young actresses who do a phenomenal job.
Yes.
Anyways, this guy, Reverend Trask, who is played by Tony Hale, it banishes the Sanderson sister for defying church authority by refusing to marry this guy who also doesn't want to marry her. And I feel like Winnie, being stupid, really, like, she and this John Pritchett could have worked together to not marry each other. Like, I feel like they could have gotten out of this a different way. But anyways, they end up running off into a nearby forest because Tony Hale freaks out about a spider. And there they meet this witch who's played by the same actress who plays Rebecca on Ted Lasso, who I forget her name. God, what is that actress's name? It's that's Hannah Waddingham. Hannah Waddingham as who's a witch who also eats kids, but she says it because she's gonna eat them. And then but she instead decides to she detects that Winnie is powerful because apparently being a witch is partially an inborn thing in this universe, which great. I mean, whatever, just retconning shit. Because you know what we're never going to mention in this entire film? A pact with the devil. At no point are we going to mention the devil in this movie.
Or that's where the book came from.
Yep. Yep. Because Mother Witch gives them the book. The book is a pre-existing thing, so them getting the book, she explicitly warned. Also, like, she used it. She's maybe warning them about it because she used it once and had to pay the cost.
Yes, that's absolutely the implication.
Yeah. So, because her
my
bird's
coven is all gone now. That's why.
Yeah, that's why. So, you know, but also you see her bird throughout the movie. So, you know, she's been going. The sisters go get revenge on Reverend Trask by cursing his home, which is then engulfed in flames. So, we then fast forward to 2022 because we already know what happens to the rest of the Sanderson sisters in Salem. So we don't need to re-explain the rest of it. We go to 2022. We get local Salem teenagers, just reading Wikipedia, Becca and Izzy prepare to celebrate Halloween and Becca's 16th birthday, but turn down a party invite from their former friend Cassie. Feel like we're leaving the most important character out of this recap on Wikipedia, which is Mike. Mike's the best character in this whole movie. Cassie's boyfriend, Mike. So Becca and Izzy are pissed off that Cassie is hanging out with Mike a lot. And for the record, Mike is adorable. And I feel like the movie wants us to empathize with Becca, but Mike is clearly just being super nice to them all the time. And Becca is bullying Mike. But it's kind of okay because like that this is in the movie.
Yeah, it's like Mike is dumb, but he's trying.
Mike is really trying.
Yeah, but he's trying. He's
but
in
anyways, so Becca and Izzy do this like annual ritual on her birthday because her birthday is Halloween. And they do a ritual in the woods like teenage girls do all the time.
Without observing fire safety.
Yeah, like teenagers do all the time. Like if I'm going to be critical about this girl's witchcraft, I will be, but it is also a realistic representation of teenager witchcraft.
Right down to, you know, we call our intentions to manifest. It's like you have said exactly nothing.
Yep. The one big thing you will note about this movie is the massive influence of the modern witchcraft movement on the entire plot of this film.
God.
So, anyways,
so they stopped by the witchcraft store.
They stopped by the witchcraft store, which is set up in the Sanderson house.
Yeah, the developer found it.
But by the way, it's in much better condition than it was as a fucking museum. The book is behind glass.
Yeah.
The artifacts are behind glass because Gilbert's not a fucking... I mean, Gilbert's an idiot, but he's
clearly
also...
an idiot.
Yeah, it's run by this guy, Gilbert, who is... God, I love... Gilbert's played by Sam Richardson, and I love Sam Richardson. He is... Gilbert is running a witchcraft store. He's telling the story about the Sanderson sisters. And he tells a story about the black flame candle, and then a kid asks, what's a virgin, in what is, I think, the best moment of every conversation that every parent had to have with their 8-year-old after watching the original Hocus Pocus.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but he handles it beautifully.
Yeah.
Someone who's never lit a candle. Yeah. I mean, as a euphemism, that's pretty good.
So Gilbert gives Becca a candle for her birthday. So
I am already suspicious. I was already suspicious of that candle. It looked janky. He didn't say what it did. It is janky
and homemade. Yep.
Mm-mm.
Also, they take some a packet of herbs, which will be useful later, which are explicitly said to remove curses.
I'm also like, it's Angelica root that removes curses, not Angelica leaf. Who was your consultant? Fire them.
To be fair, it's not clear in the film that actually is the thing that does the thing, or the other thing.
That is true. But still.
So anyways,
what shop is this?
Clearly
a Disney merch store.
So anyways, it's a black flame candle, guys. Gilbert made a black flame candle. They take it out to light the candle for the ritual. It is the full moon. It is Halloween. Both girls are virgins. Although I don't think that's ever explicitly said in the film, but good, because it's weird to ask a teenage girl about whether or not she is one. Don't do that. But anyways,
and it's even weirder to imply that a 15 or 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, it's by the way, it is perfectly normal if you're a teenager and you're a virgin.
Yeah.
Some of us.
It's time to find yourself.
Oh, I found myself a lot in my teenage years.
Exactly. We all do.
Heyo.
Heyo.
This podcast has a mature warning. It's fine. So, anyways, I have intentions manifest finish the bottle in my notes. So they light the black flame candle, and the Sanderson sisters have an entrance, and they do a big musical number, which is great. They have a prepared musical number, which one of them does ask, who are they singing to? And this eventually get you, which actually made, like, I originally was questioning the logic, and then the minute she said you, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And it's an original song.
Yeah.
So, like, they prepared a musical number, and I did question this for a little while until I have a note for the credits, and I think they just prepared it while they were in hell, so it's fine.
Yes,
absolutely. It's what they were doing in hell was preparing a musical number, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So the girls try to think fast because the witches are going to try to eat them.
They think remarkably fast. That was a pretty good cover story.
But the Sanderson sisters, to their credit, have learned their lesson from the first time. It is like, no, kid immediately. Get the quickest kid we can. And
kill
so
teenagers on site. Yeah,
no, get the teen. Yeah, then we're done. Like, we win right away. So, but the teenagers trick them to thinking that they're older witches. And they lie to them about Walgreens. They take them to Walgreens. First off, also though, why do they not know what lotion is? When was lotion?
Lotions were around then.
Etymology. I'm Googling this. Etymology of the word lotion.
Absolutely around in 1693.
From fucking late Middle English. Yes, they knew the word lotion.
Yeah, and they would have known what it was because if they had any experience, brewing concoctions for youth, which I assume they did apart from all the child murder, they would actually have some idea of what a moisturizer was, what cosmetics were. This would not be completely foreign to them.
Yeah. So anyways, they go into Walgreens. I have in my notes, you literally saw fake lights the last time you were here, Winnie. Stop being confused by modern things you weren't previously confused by. And also have Mary knows surfing and cowabunga, but not lotion or what a paved road is. So, anyways, back to so anyways,
So they tell them that there's children's souls already infused in the the health and beauty cosmetics, which I thought was a great leap.
Yep.
It was like, oh, that's thinking on your feet. Very nice. There you go.
Girls manage to ditch the witches at the wall.
When they find out that the potions, the cosmetics don't actually contain children's souls, I wrote in my notes, LOL, the potions are vegan.
Yeah. So they run back to the shop where they find out that Gilbert's been reading too much Margaret Murray and Silver Ravenwolf, and he thinks that the Sanderson sisters, who again killed kids, that they're really misunderstood. And also we find out Gilbert's backstory that Jay and I stole his candy, and this is all their fault. I hope they died in those cages is written in my notes.
Yes. But still, ew, most uncool bro, sussy candle man. No, thank you.
Yeah. Also, the Sanderson sisters, when they leave Walgreens, they had to have had multiple brooms at that store, but they go for the joke again, where Winnie grabs a broom. Sarah grabs like a Swiffer, which is fine, also writable, and then they put Mary on a couple of Roombas, and those Roombas will be plot important later.
I love the Roombas so much. Broombas. They're great.
Yeah. And by calling it a Broomba, you don't have to pay for the license.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Broomies. Oh,
so
cute.
Anyways, the sisters catch up to the girls at the magic shop. Gilbert realizes he'd done fucked up. Also, Gilbert just has a black cat, which is great.
Yeah, I love Cobweb. Cobweb is cute.
She's just a black cat to be there for the visual reference, and I love it. So, anyways, Winnie decides a couple things. Winnie decides they're going to do the the super evil spell, the Magica Maxima spell.
Yes.
And they see a campaign flyer for Tony Hale's modern day character, as I don't think I've mentioned, as we've seen him already at this point in the movie in the future, but he's currently playing the mayor and Cassie's dad.
The dad who tries too hard.
Yeah. But he is the mayor. And it is a strange double role because the character's nothing alike, but they see their enemy, which is also a weird person to pick as the enemy because he's like a childhood enemy versus like the people who killed them. But
target of opportunity.
Because I really feel like them getting banished, things worked out better for them right up until they were stupid. Like it's they wouldn't have become powerful if not for that guy. But
and also they burned his house down. They already took care of him.
Yeah, but anyways, they need an enemy for one of the ingredients of the spell is the blood of their enemy. So they're gonna go eliminate him and take revenge on all of modern Salem.
Because
the sisters, the sisters trap Izzy and Becca in the basement, and make it so people can't see them or hear them with a curse. And and they force Gilbert to collect the other ingredients, which includes going to he's one of the ingredients is a former lover's head or a lover's head, which Gilbert's gonna go to the graveyard and go to dig up Billy.
Yay.
So yeah, the girls are trying to warn their friends, but no one can see them when they call. Gilbert digs up Billy Butcherson, or he goes to do it, and Billy just kind of gets up, and it's I do like Gilbert's line of "That's not 6 feet under," because
Uh-huh.
he's really, and it turns out that Billy's been conscious since 1993.
Yep.
He's just been
chilling.
lying there awake.
Yeah.
Since 1993, and he could have gotten up at any time. So it's not like the buried alive horror. He's just there.
He's just
but
chilling.
And since this is Doug Jones in 2022 and not Doug Jones in 1993, we let Doug Jones get lots of great lines in this movie.
I'm a nice zombie.
Yeah.
He's great.
I like it when he realizes that Gilbert's lied to him, because Gilbert tells Billy that they're going to get revenge. We find out that they've retconned Billy's backstory, where he wasn't in like a long-term relationship with Winnie. He kissed Winnie one time.
Yes.
And yeah, so.
But because she said in the opening that they're like, oh, we kissed in the graveyard, and by 1600 standards, oh yes, of course that means they're lovers. So that's the narrative that came down. So
right,
but I get it.
No. I know this is 100% though in an attempt to make Billy more likable, because if you frame it as he cheated on one of them, then he's like a jerk. If you say like, I wasn't even really like, we weren't together, she decided we were together.
Was the one he was really interested in. Yeah, but when he's jealous and controlling, and then it kind of works if you squint and look to the left.
Yeah. So the girls manage to break the curse with what appears to be the angelical leaf or whatever, but really appears to be the fact that Becca has a glowingness. And so yeah, also I have in here, so the Sanderson sisters end up they're at the town like big Halloween fest in Salem and looking for the mayor, and I just have in my notes, they know the lyrics to One Way or Another, but not what a Walgreens or a Roomba is. There is a question of how do they know the lyrics to One Way or Another? Like in the first movie,
who knows?
There's kind of an excuse. In this movie, no. They just, I mean, again, it does question of what were they doing in hell this whole time? Like, what did they bother learning about? They learned the lyrics to songs, but there's a nice callback. I don't remember when exactly it is, but Mary refers to a car as a small bus.
Yes. Oh, geez, Penny.
That is 100% on the audio. I don't have to explain that the cat was meowing.
I'm sorry. Penny says she wants attention. She may come up and see us. Hey.
Audio listeners will just have to believe. Well, you can hear the cat. You know there's a cat.
Yeah. Hey, what's the matter? Really?
This is all going in.
Come here. Do you want to come here? Do you want to hide? Come here. Sorry, creaky chair. All right, come here. Oh, you big baby.
All right,
there
so audio listeners, there is a cat on camera now. You should watch the video.
There's a Penny.
Just for this, I can't say go to this time marker on the video version. You'll see a cat. Anyways, so the sisters go cast a spell to get these people to go and find the mayor, who is gone home because the daughters did manage to warn him that their daughter was throwing a party. Yeah, I would say Cassie, their friend, who is kind of a strange friend, she and her boyfriend Mike are secretly throwing a party at the mayor's house while the mayor is off at the town festival. Seems like poor planning to me, because it doesn't seem all that late by the end of the movie when he would have been home to begin with. But whatever. I do have in my notes that Mike is a cinnamon roll too pure for this world. While they're
needs to be protected.
But while they're searching the town, there is a moment where you see into a house where two people are watching a movie on TV and one of the Sanderson books in. But the movie they are watching is Hocus Pocus 1.
Yes.
The movie of Hocus Pocus exists within the universe of Hocus Pocus 2, and it is the scene of Penny and Gary Marshall. And I know they wanted to include this because people have passed away. But the implications The metaphysical
and also
implications.
just the fact that the Sanderson sisters, as they existed in the 1993 movie, have been merchandised in this film. There's a whole there's a Sanderson sisters costume contest when they show up to the festival, and like besides them and these younger girls, like the other front runners are 3 drag queens who are marvelous.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think there is documentation about what the Sanderson sisters are wearing the outfits they died in, so
Yes.
it's not like it's. I think there is an excuse that it does appear in the world of Hocus Pocus that not only were the Salem witches real witches, but that the Sanderson sisters were the only witches executed in Salem. Is really what it looks like in the Hocus Pocus universe. So like. Because everything's always Sanderson sister focused in this version of Salem, where if you talk to like a real Salem tour guide or something, you know, you talk about all the people who were executed during the anyway, not
yeah.
To pull it back, Trae, fictional world. We're doing anyways. So the Sanderson sisters eventually get to the house of the mayor.
Also, lots and lots of Disney movie costumes on the dancers.
Oh, and one of the people is dressed in the same Madonna costume that the mom was dressed in from the first movie. I spotted that.
I love it.
Significantly less racism in the costumes this movie.
Yes.
But so they send out people searching for it. But the Sanderson sisters never really follow through on their spells. Just like they didn't follow through on their spell with eating the kids they lured in the first movie. Because they don't bother, because the dancers do eventually find the mayor. They just have like given up.
Not there to do it.
Yeah, it's the Sanderson sisters give up because the dancers are slow. It is like they just get frustrated with them and keep going, and they end up at the mayor's house, so the mayor's not there. And Becca, Izzy, and Cassie trap the Sanderson sisters in a ring of salt in the garage.
They actually were pretty savvy with that.
Yeah,
it's like yep, that works.
Yeah,
good teamwork. Well done.
But so I just have in my notes Chekhov's Roombas, because the Roombas have a mind of their own. They just have, once they have the magic spell on them, they have a mind of their own.
Yep.
The Roombas vacuum up the ring of salt.
I loved that so much. It literal Deus Ex Machina.
Like you think it's gonna be Tony Hale's character that lets them out.
Oh
but
yeah, just
he's just like, no, go away, and then goes inside his house and survives
sulking over a caramel apple. I'm like, my God, this man.
Yeah. So but the Sanderson sisters get out, and they realize that since Cassie's the mayor, like Cassie's blood will work just as well as the mayor's blood because they're both descendants. Cassie gets kidnapped, dragged to the woods. Time to do spell. Also, sisters, they let me see if I can. Oh yeah, it turns out that Becca is a natural witch fucking the craft.
Which includes like glowy hands and superpowers, and it's
yeah. They get their power on their 16th birthday. Hooray!
Make it stop. Make it stop with the puberty metaphors.
But Becca and Izzy follow them to the Forbidden Forest, where Gilbert has assembled the ingredients, and they they figure out that Becca, like the Sandersons, is a natural witch. And I just have in my notes. Does that mean that Becca's in a pact with the devil now? Just in my notes
for turning 16. Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, the sisters partially cast a spell, increase their power, while Becca distracts them. And Izzy rescues Cassie. Becca convinces the book that it doesn't have to deal with Winnie anymore. And the book flies to her hands. And the book shows them warning its magic spell, which is saying whoever casts must give up whatever they cherish most for the price of power. The girls...
Which tracks. I mean, everything has a price.
Yeah, and the girls go to warn, just like their youth spell is the price of a child's life.
Exactly.
Winnie, they try to warn Winnie, but she casts it anyways, and then they're too late, and Mary and Sarah fade to dust. Winnie grows despondent and begs her, and this is where we lose me with the tone.
Yeah.
We are suddenly like this sympathetic Winifred moment.
I was like, no, you just spent 2 entire movies literally eating children, and now we're supposed to feel sorry
This is
for
like
you?
if we try to feel sorry for Freddy.
Yeah.
It's like, but anyways,
It's like, no, you've been a villain for this entire time. You literally eat kids. You don't get to be a sad little meow meow.
yeah, but anyways, Becca, Cassie, and Izzy join together to cast a reuniting spell, which, to be fair, wherever the other two went.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah.
Billy, by the way, figures out what Gilbert's been doing this whole time way earlier, and just his being pissed with Gilbert, I find hilarious because he thought they were friends. And then yeah, it's but the spell is on Billy is wearing off because the Winifreds, all their spells apparently have been undone now. And so Billy gets to be dead. The girls decide to give Book a new home and keep practicing magic as they walk off into the night. Similar in doing the Sanderson sister walk.
Yes, the monkey walk.
And as they leave, you see the mother witch bird fly overhead. And in a post-credits scene, we were revealed that there is another black flame candle in the bookshop that Gilbert made already. And that is the plot of Hocus Pocus 2, and I have so many thoughts about this movie.
Fire away.
Okay, so first off, the clear influence of the modern witchcraft movement is huge because it's like, oh shit, witches can't just be evil.
There has to be nuance now.
Yeah, we've got to have good witches because a lot of the people who are going to watch this movie are witches. Because witchcraft, I don't know if you've noticed this, demographics wise, is very popular with young women and girls. I don't know if maybe somehow over the past fucking 30 years, if not longer, it's a thing.
Things changed.
So it's like,
and a lot of us grew up watching the first one, so obviously we're gonna watch the next one.
So witches need to be good. Now, I will say that, like, with there's lots of I love Gilbert's store. I think that's a much more realistic representation of what would have happened in this situation versus the abandoned museum version. And I do love he's got replicas of the book for sale. At one point, they just, like, it doesn't really become a plot point, but they the Sanderson sisters hide book with all the fake books.
Which is smart.
Which I love. I believe she wasn't hiding it on purpose. I think she just found a shelf it fits on. But it's because I refuse to give Winifred Sanderson any credit to her intelligence.
Also, cauldron full of Binks toys. Like, there's literal Disney merch, like, in the shop.
Yeah. It is like it's really interesting, like the changes.
I'm sorry, I just thought of something.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Like, yes, it's very realistic to have the Sanderson sisters' house like turned into a witch shop, but if we want to go super realistic, you know what it should have been? A Spirit Halloween.
Spirit Halloween wouldn't know what to. That's too small for a Spirit Halloween.
But still,
you need an abandoned Shopko for that.
I know, an abandoned Kmart or something.
But it's like, it's so clearly like we get these three protagonists who they really want to do something with. Disney has said so. That but you know, who knows? Everything is in development hell. Clearly it's meant to mirror the three sisters. I will say Mike is a golden retriever. Like at one point, like Mike says about a prank they did where they covered someone's car in tinfoil, and like I think Becca goes, "Why is that funny?" And I'm like, "Because it is funny to cover. Like, that is a good prank because it doesn't ruin anything. It causes confusion in your friend." He's like, "Why is my car in what the fuck is happening?" Destroy says he's never actually mean. He's like, "Why are we talking about Witcher?" It's like, because you have a crystal on your desk and I've been on TikTok is in my head. Like, like, what the fuck do you think it means? Like, it's 2022.
Like, are you? Oh, there's in.
Like,
but no,
that's
because he's
also
dating their
you
friend
do an
and,
annual ritual in the woods.
yeah,
Like,
and he's trying to
you
like,
hang
be
out
nice
in the
and
witch
talk to her.
store. He's
Yeah.
trying to be interested in his girlfriend's friends.
Yeah,
Like-
but they're freezing him out because they're mad that she's doing something with some other person than them.
And they
Which fair in the dynamics of
and they're
teen
holding
girls.
on to stereotypes about jocks, which are very
Yeah.
1990s and not necessarily modern. And also in the 90s, by the way, he's like a good football player. First stringers were never your enemies in high school. It was the third string football players who had a problem. They're
Yes.
the first stringers. He's being like the star player guy who is, they are like, they have shit going on. Like, they don't have time to go beat up and pick on people. They
Mhm.
have shit going on. It's the third stringers who still have to suit up every game but never play. Those are the guys who have all the time to like go pick on the rest of the like the weirdos. Like, what is
Oh yeah, and a chip
But-
on their shoulder to fuel it.
and like
Yeah.
to be fair, I feel like the way the movie, like, they didn't use this as an opportunity for growth for Beck. I mean, they did a little bit, but I feel like by saying, like, telling Mike that, like, pointing out things about people, like, was bullying, like, I was like, no. Mocking them for it is bullying. He
Saying,
was
"Hey,
trying to
that's
make
weird," is-
conversation in every example we saw. Like,
Yeah,
do
saying,
not
"Hey, that's-"
shame this boy.
Yeah. Saying, "Hey, that's weird," is like, it's not nice, but it's not bullying.
But also, he didn't like they say he says, "Hey, that's weird," but actually, like, does he ever say it's weird?
No,
Like, I never see him say it's weird.
he doesn't
go-
really even imply it.
Yeah,
He just asks, "Are you doing that thing?" And he might say it in a way that might, to a spiteful teenage girl, imply that he thinks it's weird because he doesn't understand it. Are you going to still do that ritual in the woods? Did you bring a crystal for a witchery or whatever for today? It's like, well, of course he doesn't understand what's going on. So the questions that he asks are going to sound dumb, perhaps to the point of being insulting.
Yeah.
But
But
at least
it's-
he's trying.
he's just he's like, so he's played by
He's just uninformed.
Mike is played by Froy Gutierrez, who you may
Mhm.
remember from his recurring role on Teen Wolf.
Mhm. He's
As
adorable.
Nolan, and he's in other stuff. He's a main role in the Cruel Summer show. I didn't watch, so I don't know. But I've watched Teen Wolf, so that's what I know him from. It's like, it's this movie. This movie is confused about what to do with the Sandersons sometimes because it wants them
Yeah.
to be funny. It wants them to, because so here's the problem. The movie is the characters have become iconic in the decades, like, since in the 30 years or 29 years in the case of this movie, since the movie came out. The characters have become iconic and beloved icons and figures, and they are the villains of their movie, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
there is no mistake watching that movie that they're the bad guys, but because people like the characters so much, this movie is a little afraid to have, like, it wants you to like them. But
Yeah.
part of the problem is it's like, it's people like the characters, they wouldn't want to actually spend time with the real people. Like, it's
No.
like, we're not, like, we like them as a fun idea, not as a real idea. So, like, when you treat them in text as sympathetic, when you treat them in like, the backstory tries to give us sympathy, like they were persecuted as teenagers, and then but I'm like, that feels weird. We're making, like,
Yeah.
I know that the real Salem witch trials involved Christians persecuting each other, because there were no witches in Salem. Nobody even called themselves a witch for another couple hundred years.
Yeah.
And the people who were doing folk magic, like, that's not like, there were no
Yeah,
witches in
people-
Salem.
Yeah, it's like,
Alright.
yes, people were doing a folk magic,
Yes.
but
But most of
none
those people doing
people
folk
would have
magic
called
were
themselves a witch.
Christians.
Yeah.
And they would have been offended if you called them a witch.
Yeah, witch is a reclaimed term, did not become reclaimed until the 20th century. Boom.
Yeah, done. But anyway, so, like, giving a sympathetic backstory for the Sanderson sisters, weird idea. Like, the first movie gives us child murdering backstory. Good backstory for your movie villains. Like, if they had, like, gotten into, and when they're 16, like, yeah, like the church is the bad guy in the real Salem witch trials, but when they're 16, you could have made it the mayor and not the reverend. You could have made it like some other thing, but also like it doesn't have to be related to any witch trial shit, because that fever's not going to come for another couple of decades. So like you can just have him be an asshole in the flashback, and like you don't have to like. So I'm like that, plus like Winifred's whole like sympathetic moment. It is brilliantly acted by Bette Midler. I want to say in no way am I criticizing the performances of Kathy Najimy, Bette Midler, or Sarah Jessica Parker. Sarah Jessica Parker like going back to like slapstick, and like when she's told to spread out and just starts spreading out is brilliant in physical comedy. Like, it is brilliantly executed, but like this whole like sympathetic angle on the Sanderson sisters is confused. Like the movie knows they're bad guys, and even like makes the witch who trained them like also a child murderer, which, but like, okay, so like the only reason why a witch would be a child murderer in this universe is that there is a youth spell that they do not have to do. So like you can have your main characters become witches and never become evil, right? Like say
ostensibly.
Right. So, like, our heroes can become witches and not do evil shit. They are holding a book bound in human skin, written by the devil.
Yeah, I was confused about that at the end. I'm like, wait a minute. So now the quote unquote good witch gets the big book full of evil spells and potions. Okay, cool. How's that going to work exactly? Does it convert to a book of Wicca?
Well, they're not doing Wicca because they never invoked a god and goddess. They didn't cast. They did. they TikTok witched it. Where you take a bunch of the trappings from Wicca, but say you're not a Wiccan. And I said it. Okay, let me tell you. There's a lot of people who talk about, I'm not Wiccan. I'm not a Wiccan. And then like everything they do comes out of a Wiccan book. And everything is all Wicca, except we didn't invoke a god and goddess, and except we are invoking goddesses like crazy, and probably fucking Lilith. Listen to the Lilith episode. There is no goddess Lilith. Lilith is a demon from Jewish folklore from like the 10th century post-Christianity. Anyways,
Wicca, it's shady.
Like, but it's believable.
I'm sorry, I've been sitting on that for like a week.
It's believable. It's a good joke. I don't have anything to add to it, so I'm letting it. They will hear the joke. It is. So I'm just like, this movie is fucking confused, and I want to say I enjoyed it. Like Sam Richardson is so funny as Gilbert. I love every moment of Doug Jones. This movie has some truly funny moments. Tony Hale rant about his caramel apple, and he's gonna eat it, and I'm gonna enjoy it. Like, it's like beautiful, wonderful. Like,
what a background motivation for a character to have. Like, his entire like meaning of life is just to get this caramel apple. I love it.
Also,
that's his MacGuffin.
Also, in the background, in the stand-ins, Umry Katz, Thora Birch, and Vanessa Shaw are all in extras in the background at one point.
Aww. Well, now we have to look.
I think they may be in the flashback to Old Salem.
Ooh, that'd be neat. I'll have to look for that. I'll have to watch it again.
Or something. Yeah, there's some point where they are the three protagonists of the first movie are extras in the background of this movie.
That's so cool.
I will have to look that up. I have not seen that. I have just read that on the Wikipedia page, so that is likely true, but I have not confirmed it. It's like, okay, so I want to say I did enjoy this movie. I liked it. It a lot, but there are lots of times where I feel like they change the lore to try to adapt to the modern witchcraft movement's existence, but didn't really understand the implications to the lore as they did it. Like, you could have them become, our three protagonists become witches, but like, you didn't have to give them Book, you know? Like, and I understand to a degree that Book has his own personality, and like is yet another person exploited by Winnie turning on her, because the only people that Winnie cares about are her sisters.
And even then, she spends most of the movie insulting them.
Yeah. To be fair, they are. They're very consistent about that. I'm just.
There's a lot of stuff that, like, things that made sense, wrong as they were, with regard to like history or actual modern witchcraft in the first one, they made sense in the context of the film. But trying to make that scan with like the updated views about witches, it made a lot of things very confused. And I mean, I understand exactly why they did it, and I'm actually kind of pleased that they took that into consideration, but it really feels like they did all their research on TikTok.
I will say that I do have a line in my notes was, sure do enjoy the Charmed reboot.
Yeah.
To be fair, I actually did enjoy the Charmed reboot, the real one.
I mean, yeah, me too. To be fair.
Yeah, it's in the my final note is, where is that recording studio? Is it in hell? It must be in hell. Because so the movie, like, you get like them singing the song to like in a recording studio, but it's lit red, and I'm just like, oh, this is the explanation for their song, their opening number when they come back is they practice it in hell. This is footage of them practicing it in hell.
Yes.
That feels
number one hit single. In all of the layers of hell, Sanderson sisters, the witches are back. 2002, 2022.
Yeah, this was certainly a film.
It sure was.
So I mean, it's clear that they wanted to they want to revitalize a franchise. They want to do spin-offs. They want to do all this stuff, and I don't necessarily think that's going to actually happen.
No.
I
don't think so. Too many things get stuck in development hell for too long. Too many things get complicated for too long, and then, like, people either age out of roles that they were originally meant to play, or they get other work, or just the funding's not there, the interest isn't there, whatever. But I mean, Disney is going to milk Disney Plus for all it's worth, especially now that they've like doubled the frickin' price for it. Well, so they're really looking to create like more exclusive original series and content for that.
They're going to Disney Plus and Hulu are merging next year into one service.
Oh, okay.
Because Disney finally bought. So Disney didn't own about a third of Hulu. Was still owned by NBC Universal. So for those of you who don't know, Hulu was originally created by three companies. They were created by NBC, Fox, and ABC, and ABC is owned by Disney. When ABC bought the Fox network, they went from being like that was why Hulu was nice originally starting out, because none of the major networks owned all of it. Like, it was like 10% was owned by Hulu, the company, and then 30% by Disney, 30% by Fox, 30% by NBC Universal.
Yeah.
And ignore the thumbs up that appeared on my screen, YouTube viewers. My camera has reactions turned on. When Disney bought Fox, they took over the majority of Hulu and had control over Hulu, but not full ownership. So that's why, like, people talk about Hulu as a Disney thing, because Disney owned most of Hulu, and that's why Disney would put things on there. But NBC Universal still owned a third, and they wanted to get out of it. That's why NBC Universal launched Peacock as a competing service, and has been putting stuff on Peacock exclusively instead of on Hulu, and the only stuff they put on Hulu comes straight off of the air.
Right.
So what happened is recently Disney was able to buy that last third from NBC Universal. And so now what they're going to do is they are going to merge the two services, which is so everything that is Disney Plus only. So Disney Plus and Hulu are going to become one service, which will probably be more expensive than either one individually was, but will probably be cheaper than the combined price if you were paying for both of them before. I assume it
One
won't be all
hopes.
that different from the bundle price.
I guess.
Which, to be fair, as a person who's who's paying full price right now for ad-free Hulu and ad-free Disney Plus and doesn't have it bundled because I never bothered to bundle them, because when I signed up, only the with ESPN bundle existed, and I didn't feel like paying $1 more for ESPN.
Nah.
And I've never bothered changing my plan.
Nah.
It will be cheaper than it is for these months while they are still separate and Disney Plus has a higher cost. All the streaming services need to raise their prices because it costs a lot to make a lot of original content, and they've all been running at a loss. That's also, they want you to sign up for ad tier levels because they make more money off of an ad tier level. That's really the other thing. They drive up the price because then you'll drop to the cheaper plan, and they make more money on you on the cheaper plan. Because they make more money on you paying a smaller rate and then getting ads.
Yep.
And to be fair, advertiser subsidies is what keeps shows on the air. Like, people forget that when it comes to like television stuff, and this, I guess this is more of a Nerd Tie podcast discussion than a BS3 Witchcraft discussion, but it's really expensive to make these shows, and like Netflix was deficit spending to produce content. Like the reason why they like TV shows used to get longer runs and more because of advertiser money.
Right.
And so having ads on shows as an ad, like I believe that having an ad-free tier is good because I don't want to watch political ads under any circumstances, which it's very frustrating when I watch things on the Roku channel because there is no ad-free tier that I can watch. Like the American version of Bake Off. I have to watch it with ads. But like that pays for shows, and shows will run longer if advertisers want to advertise against them. So like it sucks to a degree that it's not as nice for us, but it does make sense. Anyways, Hocus Pocus 2.
Merchandising.
Merchandising. Yes. Yeah, it's the search for more money. It was clearly like I've seen someone call it a gimmick, which I felt like is a weird word to use to describe a film. It is a cash in. It is absolutely a cash grab. It is absolutely a, hey, you remember that thing you love? We made more of that thing you love. Welcome to Disney Plus. That's our whole business model.
Yep. Adapt or die. Mm-hmm.
And audiences seem to be getting a little tired of it, but it's as the box office has shown lately. But it's fine. It's Hocus Pocus 2 in the realm of sequels is, so I have like, there are sequel rankings which are truly awful so much that it ruins my enjoyment of the first film. Then there is a not good, don't want to watch it again, but it didn't ruin the first film for me. And then there is a, I enjoyed this. It's not as good as the first movie. And I think we're in that realm.
Yes. And then there's like a god tier above that where it's like, this is even better than the first movie. And
Terminator 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Terminator 2 is the example of that. Because Terminator, great movie. Terminator 2, better movie.
Yes.
All the other Terminator movies, why? With the exception, the only Terminator sequel after T2 that is good is Sarah Connor Chronicles, because it explored the complexities of time travel and what happens when you keep sending more and more people back in time.
Word.
And Dark Fate is enjoyable to watch because Linda Hamilton.
Yeah. This is somewhere around the level of like one of the Austin Powers sequels where it's like, it didn't ruin the original movie and it's enjoyable in its own right.
I feel like actually the first Austin Powers sequel does kind of ruin the original movie by retconning Vanessa.
But there's that, but the rest of it is really good.
Yeah. So the second Austin Powers movie and not the third Austin Powers movie.
Correct.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah.
It's I liked it. I think really the interesting thing though is just the reflection of them not knowing what to do with certain things. I think that a lot of it wasn't handled perfectly, and I think the cultural changes are significant. Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts about Hocus Pocus 2?
I liked how much they kept in with regard to like nods to the original movie. Um, just little things here and there that it's like, oh, this clearly, like the first Hocus Pocus movie very clearly made for kids. The second one very clearly made for those same kids who are now.
That is, but actually
Sorry.
I think it seemed to have a target audience of two people, nostalgia, and then people about 5 years older than the Hocus Pocus 1 audience.
Yes, and it very much felt like the movie's main characters were very clearly the Sanderson sisters. The teenagers they put in were just there to have protagonists. Just like in the first movie, they were kind of one-dimensional. We don't know much about them.
If you do argue that most things with high school protagonists are written for middle schoolers, then actually I think that like maybe it's actually I just think like the difference in age targeting is just only a few years difference, because like I feel like the first movie you're targeting characters the age of the Danny character. You're trying to target 8 and 9 year olds, which is still again the whole virgin conversation. It's really awkward, but like I feel like that's your target audience. I feel like this movie is more targeting people who are like 12 and 13. I think that's your target audience for Hocus Pocus 2, which is, to be fair, similar categories. And I think that like 13-year-olds very much enjoy the original Hocus Pocus. If you're 13 and you're listening to the show, stop. I do not listen to the show if you're that young. Stop. You should have never been here. But I guess, because sentence started coming out of my mouth, and then I realized, no, I should not be talking to people that young. If you're that young, go away. The show is for you in maybe like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And then
come talk to us when you can vote.
For legal reasons, come talk to us when you can vote. For realistic reasons,
we can't tell you what to
do. Talk to us when you're of legal drinking age. If you can drink beer in the UK,
there you go.
Then you can listen to this show. And if you don't know what the drinking age for beer in the United Kingdom is,
you're too young to be here.
You don't know how to Google. And
well, that too.
I'm not teaching you that. All right, so Hocus Pocus 2. Not as good as the original.
No.
Still enjoyable.
Very.
Weird ass implications continue in new and different ways. Just go, Winnie. To quote Winnie, "My powers are nothing without my sisters," which sure sounds to me like child murder is less fun alone.
Oh boy. I also have a note about the end here in my notes that just says, ew, glitter. Because they just poof. Although I will say that one of the last lines by Sarah, Winnie, the wind is stealing my fingers. I was like, oh, that's like that hurts something in my heart somehow, and I don't know why. There's something very kind of cute and childlike about it. And it was that really just, it shifted the tone nicely, and I did enjoy that. And like you said, it was a really good emotional bit with the witches. But then also again, it's like, no, we're not going to feel bad for you.
The music is swelling. Like I feel like we should be mocking these characters, not like making us feel bad for them with the musical choices and the filming choices. And like, hey, this should be. It's, I don't know. You mentioned glitter, and I'm just like, I don't like glitter. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
It's like, Winnie, you literally fucked around and found out, and now we're supposed to feel bad for you? I don't think so.
Right.
No.
Everyone
sorry.
has told you don't do the thing. Even the child murderer who initiated you and gave you the human skin book said don't do the thing.
Mhm.
Yet here they are doing the fucking thing.
And that, witchlings, it's why it's important to always do your research and always read the warnings and consider the consequences of everything you do.
And if everything says don't do the thing, maybe
don't do the thing.
Sometimes at least look into why you shouldn't do the thing.
Yes.
I'm not saying that you should follow every warning blindly, but you should at least go, why are you warning me about that? What'll happen?
Yes, that really is a better way of looking at it than just like obey all warnings ever, because then you get people who, blindly think that the threefold law is like cosmic rule number 1. And it's like, no, maybe look into
Monique
why
Wilson made it up.
Yeah.
Like many things, we know who did it. It was Monique Wilson. Shut up.
Yes. But yes, look into things, at least like do your research, do 5 seconds of fact checking. Yeah. So many things can be avoided with communication and research.
All right, with that, I think it's time to wrap things up. We have talked for an hour on Hocus Pocus 2, which is probably more time than anyone should ever talk about Hocus Pocus 2. Thank you so much for being here, Bree, for these 2 episodes. Bree, I didn't have you do this last episode, so this episode, tell the fine folks on the internet where they can find you.
Oh, well, first of all, you can find me over on Hex Positive, which is also a proud member of the Nerd and Tie podcast network, where you can find everything ranging from history to true crime to witchcraft. Make sure you join our Discord over at nerdandtie.com/Discord and give some love to all of the other fabulous people on the network, because they really are fabulous.
And also, you should join our great forums, which have been around for a month now at nerdandtie.social.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a new thing.
Not when they're listening to this.
Well, it's still relatively new. It's it's coming together nicely, I think. Yeah.
I believe it is very active, Trae says from a month in the past.
Yes.
2 days before the public launch.
But yes, you can find me on Hex Positive. You can find me as Bree NicGarran on Instagram and WordPress and TikTok, and you can find me as Bree Landwalker on Tumblr, where I got my start and still continue to lurk and dwell. I love you, my Tumblr babies.
We are Tumblerinas.
Yes, and you can find me at lots and lots of witch markets in the Richmond, Virginia area.
And you should read Grove Daughter Witchery. Available.
Oh yeah, I have books. I have books as well that people really seem to enjoy.
So yeah,
maybe give those a look.
I would have never met you if not for the existence of that book.
I still squeal about that sometimes when I think about it for more than a second.
All right, so now we're gonna go to outro Trae, who I have not recorded yet, and will probably not record for several more weeks. So outro Trae, take it away. Thank you guys so much for listening or watching this month. Remember, you can always subscribe to this show on everything that you can subscribe to podcasts on. If you want to, you can also watch this on YouTube, where there are video versions. We've been doing video versions for a little over a year now. So you could have seen us talking about that instead of just hearing us talk about that. Anyways, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by the lovely, lovely patrons who support me on Patreon. They pay the bills that keeps this show rolling. And I want to give a shout out to people at my shout out tier for December of Stephanie Graves, Lindsay Dosey, Bruce Norville, Courtney, Claire Dennis, Caleb Bukowski, and Simon Geringer. Hope I said your last name right. Simon, you're new. And I didn't have a chance to message you before I needed to record. It's a busy time of year. If you support the Patreon at even just $1 a month, you get episodes like this a whole week early. There's also some exclusive behind the scenes stuff that I sometimes post. It's not every month, but I have posted, like, there's a whole outtake reel for the Nature and Witchcraft episode of me screwing up lines when on location. But yeah, if you can afford to contribute to the show, I greatly appreciate it. But I love all of you who choose to follow the show and to listen and to watch. And if you want to get more of me that isn't, this, you can also find other podcasts I make at the Nerd and Tie Podcast Network at nerdandtie.com. I do Stormwood and Associates. I do The Meat Grinder. I do the Nerd and Tie Podcast. And technically there's on this, you can skip On This Day with Trae. Oh boy, I gotta check those episodes to see if they're still good. We've been running the same 366 episodes since 2013. Anyways, I am all over the place. You can also follow me on social media. I am primarily on Tumblr, traegorn.tumblr.com. I have a TikTok that's mostly inactive, but I post stuff there every once in a while, at traegorn. You can follow the show on Facebook at facebook.com/bs3witchcraft. I'm going to remind people again not to try to personally friend me on my personal account, because that's where I talk to my mom. Let's not play that a game. I technically have a Twitter still, and I have a Mastodon, and I have a Threads. I am bad at using all of those. But if you want to talk to me directly, the best ways to do it are to either go to nerdandtie.social, our official forums for the Nerd and Tie Podcast Network, or to go to our Discord, and you can find an invite for that at nerdandtie.com/discord. Either of those are great places you can directly speak to me any day. Literally, I'll get notifications on my phone. It's bad. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another month of the show, Magicians. And remember, dirt in our fingernails, brick in our hands. I'll talk to you guys next month.